Asali Forth Paladins, and welcome back to another episode of Starfleet Command, Orion Pirates Plus Mod. I'm Rear Admiral Tyrek of the Dreadnought HMS Exile, as we continue our campaign against the Lyran Star Empire, and we have been basically ignoring territory control aside from planets. The open tiles of just normal space we haven't really been paying much attention to, because we know that the most important thing to any empire is its economic control, and that is made by planets. So we have been focusing pretty much exclusively on them, which has led to a little bit of a rift between us and home, but I'm not super worried about that at this moment. We're going to just continue to take enemy planets until we manage to get something broken through. So, without further ado, let us set off into space and continue to keep the pressure on the planet. I believe this is 5-3 with an Empire Defense of 25, which means in just about 5 more missions, we will have this planet. And that will be a mighty boon for us indeed. We are at 13,063 prestige. We are definitely in battleship territory in terms of buying them. So I am waiting for a Monarch class battleship X type variant so that we can get, well, a battleship carrier, which will be amazing. We have our target off in the distance. This is a scouting mission, I believe. Assigned honor entering scan their units. Yep. So we're going to leap up onto him and scout him for all the information that we can rip from him. We're going to get ourselves ready for a full combat fight. So we're going to overload the fusion cannons, buff up the forward shield reinforcement to a level which the enemy cannot penetrate, as well as throw in quite a bit of power into electronic countermeasure. Is that super necessary, all things considered? Purely because he doesn't really have weapons that will aim, unless he's a particularly small ship with disruptors only, which, never mind, he is. He's a police frigate. Set a probe just so we can get accurate information. Yeah, okay, so the electronic countermeasure will actually help against his disruptor array. We're going to come in here and we're going to kick on the deep scan. The deep scan will get us all the required information that we need, and I'm not super concerned about leaping onto him at maximum speed. I can just sort of wallow into range with him. At the end of the day, we are a heavy dreadnought and he is a police frigate. He may even be a police corvette. Okay, we have all the information that we need, so we'll shut off the deep scan. Okay, your contributions to science have been noted, and oh my god, you survived. Really. We did not do a whole ton of damage, I realize. Either that or something odd has happened. We're going to keep it at maximum speed. There's no reason not to, because he's a police corvette. I was not expecting him to survive that, but I suppose there's a lot more firepower in our fusion cannons than I sort of have been giving us credit for. We do have 6 of them, and 6 fusion cannons firing at point-blank range onto overload is an absurd amount of firepower, but fired at anything beyond point-blank range is not so much. 320 prestige is our reward. We've knocked the Empire Defense down even further. We're going to pop over here and pop right back. Here is sort of the 3-planet cluster we're currently trying to siege out, and it will be a shipyard assault. So we're going after the economic manufacturing capability, and we will annihilate all 3 star docks. But, ooh, wow. So they brought a monster. However, we brought the heavy dreadnought Death Howl, which is a Marak vessel, which has 11 missile launchers, of which 4 of them are fast-firing missile rack Cs. Holy crap. So these missile rack Cs can put out as 2 salvos every turn. These missile rack Bs are extended magazine, so he actually has a pretty significant amount of firepower. The only thing that he's kind of missing is he doesn't have a V-type missile launcher, which would be super useful because it would allow him to fire 1 missile that would turn into 6 missiles. But if you want to learn more about that, go watch the Marak campaign, which I believe we did just before this one. Yeah, we did. And that we explain missile tactics in depth. These backgrounds are lovely. So we are squaring off against a light cruiser, a heavy cruiser, and I checked this one already. It's a Sunglider M, so a medium Sunglider, which is a Phaser R monster. He'll have a Phaser 4, maybe even 2, but he's not a large variant, so I'm not super worried about him. The frigate is an HTW SR. This is actually a heavy war destroyer, and the heavy cruiser is an STTF, which a single tooth something, but I'm fairly certain that's a Mauler. Not going to waste the time to send the probe out his way. I did forget to overload my fusion cannon, so we're going to go into this fight just a little bit undergunned from where we kind of should be. Reinforce the forward shield. He's noticed we're doing that, and so he immediately opened fire. He wants to reduce that, if at all possible. He has launched his pseudo-frigates as well, which, unfortunately for the Lyrans, their pseudo-frigates absolutely suck. There's no way to get around it. Lyran pseudo-frigates are terrible. Yes, they can have an ESG on board, which can deal 20 damage, but you have to compare that to a Romulan or a Goran pseudo-frigate, which can have 4-5 plasma torpedoes on board. Each one will do 20 damage, so yeah, Lyran pseudo-frigates are terrible, and they should feel bad about being so terrible. Seriously, I wish I could come in and just figure out a way to redesign. I wonder if there's construction rules for pseudo-frigates, because they need to be rebuilt and reset. And we're going to come in on this guy, and we're going to nail him with basically the might of a small star. Oh, he has gone active. Aha! We were able to knock it off using our Hellbore cannons. Point-blank range was achieved. and fusion cannons did their job. Lovely. So we've taken out one, well, I can't say 1/3 because the Sun Glider and that thing are much more powerful. He has just finished absolutely nailing the Death Howl, who is currently suffering a little bit, and I don't think those missiles are going to catch. Unfortunately, the AI has to use slow missiles unless in some very specific circumstances, and so you've got salvos like these, which are, well, sadly pretty terrible. So we're going to try and get in here and see if we can't help him out a little bit. Yeah, it kind of sucks from the amount of damage we're about to take, but I'm hoping that we'll survive. They did open fire on us. Our forward shield not doing so wonderful. Open fire, and see if we can't pull through. Get me to a good shield. Okay, we got a good shield on. So I'm feeling somewhat safe with that, and that turned him back into the target, which then ate up all of his Gatling phasers, which then penetrated him. So already he's having just a bad day. The moment 2 dreadnoughts got onto him, then he was in trouble. It's kind of ridiculous, but true. So he's only packing a single phaser 4, and it looks like 2 Gatling phasers, backed up by an additional 8 phaser 1s. Now the 8 phaser 1s is actually a pretty significant armament. I can't knock him for that one. He's actually bringing a pretty decent amount of firepower to the table here. How much longer until the Mauler gets in? Forever. Okay, we're good. A distance of 30, he's covered at a speed of 8. We're kind of going towards him. Let's call it 10. We've got about 3 turns. Although I don't want to go too much in towards him at this point, because my forward shield is just in a terrible shape. If I can get him to open fire from long range, that will make me a very happy camper. He's steadily bleeding down our starboard shield because we have only 1 point of attack shift. Which is, or defense shift, which is not great. Okay, interesting. Are we passing within range? Yep, I was right. He's smaller. And his pseudo-frigates have already gone in towards us. If you just had Romulan pseudo-frigates, man, that would just make you so much more deadly. I really am trying to avoid getting anywhere near him until after he decides to open fire with his Mauler. Okay, go. Full power to the engines. Let's dive on top of them. Because at this point, the only thing he's got left is, well, a couple of ESGs, which I'm not super worried about. I could have my Gatling phasers open fire on him. I want to save my Gatling phasers to open fire on him. So I am going to need, pardon me, a certain level of reinforcement into the forward shield. So we're going to drop the speed, get some forward fire defenses, and it's going to have to be enough. 138 damage, and 2 of our weapons didn't even fire. He fires again with the Mauler, which is an automatic hit, but it doesn't do all that much damage because he didn't have a whole heck of a lot of time to charge his batteries. We're going to come around and bring the starboard side fusion cannon on target, and we are still at a range of 0. Come on, keep it before he gets 1. We're at 1, which did reduce the amount of damage. So we've done a pretty decent hit to him, although our shields are really taking a pounding on this one. So we are actually going to, well, maybe not, because he's got basically no power. He is more or less helpless in space. Open fire. Oh, I was hoping. Okay, defend ourselves. Okay, and how about you? No, I don't have the shot. Give me the shot. There we go. So we've got to defend ourselves just a little bit. We're going to use our point defense systems to try and knock out these fighters. Sun Glider is still sort of keeping it range. That's good for now. How long until I can get another weapon system on target? Well, there it goes. That was our other weapon system getting on target. And can I pass through before he shoots me? Get into my front arc place so I can actually use the rest of my phasers. Although the Death Howl is definitely getting in to help us out. Come on, starboard side phasers taken care of. Okay, pseudo-frigates have been dealt with. He is powerless, and the Sun Glider medium is sort of trying to keep the range open. Although I'm kind of surprised he's not using his phaser 4 because that's his most powerful weapon. We did lose a Gatling phaser. Let's get the engine repaired. It's 1 point of power actually that we did lose. So we have been out for here for a while, so our armor is getting mighty thin. So we're going to come in after the Sun Glider first. We're looking at LFRDs. Those are Lyran Fleet Repair Docks. They are armed with an expanding sphere generator, so as long as we stay outside of a distance of 3, they can't touch us. So I'm not really willing to go super fast just yet. Well, I can sap the budget a little bit. Let's be honest with ourselves. He's doing a speed of 8, and so we are on a bit of a long chase here now. It's going to take us time to actually make it up to him, as long as he wants to just continually run away. And it looks like the Mauler has started to go. Oh, wow, that's why, because you have no defenses left. I'll see if I can't just use a phaser run on this one. So, get in there with some of the phaser 1s. The Gatling phasers. Not quite enough. Fusion cannon. Oh, never mind, I was using the Hellborgs, not the fusions. We did take another penetrator because splashback damage. It didn't actually deal any damage to the ship, but it did damage a couple of the labs. So we're going to hit an engine repair on that one, just to get that back online. And we will start shelling this guy the moment that the Hellborg cannons are fully set up and ready to rock. So he's got a missile salvo dropping in on him there. Oh, let's just shut off any sort of defenses that he's possibly going to send his way. Lovely. Okay, so the two dreadnoughts were able to take on a heavy cruiser, another heavy well, two heavy cruisers and a light cruiser, essentially. All right, let's go take on these Starducks. And you are going slow, so tractor beam. Let's actually bring this guy into the fight. Thank you. Okay. The AI does not quite understand that there is a target still to be had, and so he's just going to zigzag back and forth until the end of time. So we kind of have to influence them to actually come into the battle. So there's no point in powering the electronic countermeasure anymore because they're not going to have any actual defenses for it. We'll put all that additional power into the ECCM, electronic countermeasures, ways of stopping them from countering us. And just him doing donuts in the middle of space. Oh, it makes the AI so stupid. I wish there were ways to improve that. But I'm not sure that's possible. This is probably just a problem with the targeting AI. The AI hasn't figured out, okay, what's a valid target near me, until he gets, like, right on top of the Fleet Paradox. Hey, he's decided to engage, but he hasn't decided to actually, you know, engage. So he's still sort of just zigzagging around. We're just going to keep bringing him closer and closer. The Fleet Paradox will have no trouble taking care of all of these missiles. Also, the fact that he was firing those missiles from beyond their effective range is a little bit interesting. Let's start to slow down. And, dude, we are within a distance of 10, well, almost in a distance of 10 at this point. Can you please just, like, realize that there's a target and start going for it? So, as you can see, he's picking up all of that, and we'll have no trouble with that at all. And slow down a little bit, and just sort of drift into range. And then we're gonna basically open him up pretty egregiously. Yep. The fact that he has stacked up so many missiles is what made me so confident that I could get right on top of the Fleet Repair Dock without it exploding and killing me. Because the Fleet Repair Dock, of course, has his ESGs, and he's got 2 of them, which is 40 damage. A forward shield will not survive a hit to 40 damage, at least not anymore. So we really need to mitigate that sort of thing. However, if he was stacking that many missiles, I figured a large enough Alpha Strike, and we do deal out a pretty decent Alpha Strike, would probably free up the tractor beam, which would allow all of those missiles to then go in and kill him. Turns out we were right. And he's just continuing to stream missiles in on him. Unfortunately, he's making use of small and slow missiles, so their maximum speed is 16 and their warhead damage is 12. Normally, we would use a medium speed missile, which travels at a speed of 24. A little bit more useful. Not incredibly so, but useful. And also a large warhead. Oh, we were able to take that hit because the missile spread it out. That's interesting. So we're just going to set ourselves up for our final run over here. We'll probably stop in long range because I don't feel like damaging the ship too heavily. I'd like to stay out here for as long as possible, and if we have to return back to repair and rearm, that means a long trip back to... Well, actually, it's not a long trip. It means a trip back to a starbase. And I'd rather just continue to save money. Because eventually we are going to run into one of the Monarch-class battleship carriers with X-type phaser refit. Because that's our ultimate goal. And then we're going to pack that thing up with 20 Hornets, and that's going to be just an amazing death machine. It actually has more Hellbore cannons than we currently have, and that'll be even more fun. We could have gone with a full-on Monarch battleship, but the problem with that is the Monarch battleship... Oh, come on. Bump him, bump him, bump him. No, you're going to leave it for me to bump him. Either that or your ESGs are offline. We could go with a standard Monarch-class battleship without the carrier. It would give us a couple of additional heavy weapons mounts, but given just how absurdly powerful the Hornet can be, I think we're going to be better served with going with that. Empire defense is down to 15. We almost have them. Oh, there you have a friendly Stardock right here. We're going to go south and we're going to check. Hi, shipyard. I am looking for an MNV plus, and it'll cost something in the order of 14,000 credits. Prestige. Trying to get my proper economic currencies right. So none currently in the thing. Not super surprised at that. Let's get our repairs going on here. So 51 points plus an additional 7 that I always seem to forget. That's why you spot check people's work. And then we're going to pack up on the spare parts and the couple of Marines that we've spent so far. 71 prestige is the rest of that bill, and we will set back out into space, see if we can't grab this tile sometime soon. A straight-up patrol is way more fun in my book than a shipyard assault. After all, patrols allow you to engage the enemy on an equal footing. We get to see who the truly best captain and starships are. We're being escorted by CSLX, which is, as I figured, a pirate... whatchamacallit? Armored freighter, that's it. And we're going up against an NPF. It is a heavy cruiser. So a new pseudo-frigate tender, I assume, based on the PF designation inside of it. And now I am 100% positive of that fact because his weapon systems are pathetic for a ship that claims to be a heavy cruiser. So obviously he's carrying between 4 and 6 pseudo-frigates, although I would bet 4 because I think 4 is the maximum number of separate fighter entities you're allowed to have. and give me electronic countermeasures of full power, just to protect us a little bit. He does have a pair of ESGs, I mean, he does have that going for him. It's just going to take us a little while to get to him. It's always a nice little trip to actually travel towards these guys. But I don't think you're going to survive this. I take it back, you survived that. Forward shield almost didn't, but this scatter pack, if he doesn't have a shuttle bay, he's dead. He is dead. So teamwork, of course, made the dream work, because we had our own wonderful little armored cruiser, which also happened to bring along a whole bunch of missiles. Scatter packs are amazing weapons technology, and even with slow drones, can be devastating. So no penetrations of our armor on that one. The shields managed to hold back all the incoming onslaught of damage, barely. But soon we shall have this tile, and that will make it all worth it. Another straight-up patrol. Standard battle with which we may commence. Although I'm wondering if we're going to hit a dreadnought or a light cruiser. Apparently we're going to run into multiple vessels, because normally when they spawn over here, there's a couple over here as well. And I'm going to guess that that's going to be a few additional vessels. So let's overload the fusion cannon. I only want the fusion cannons overloaded and normal on the Hellbores, because we don't need the additional Hellbore damage. I prefer to have the additional flexibility of the range, because the Hellbore cannons are a pretty decent medium range weapon, although maybe I should set it up so that they're overloaded. You know what, let's do that, because it looks like increasingly like it's only going to be a single heavy cruiser out on this battle, so I have no problem with sort of just hanging back and overcharging things. Let's go maximum electronic countermeasure, also go maximum forward shield reinforcement, right there, and quickly check our power consumption. We have, oh, I knew it, there was someone else. Came from a different side, but he's out there. So we got two pirate heavy cruisers. Are you a DCR as well? He's a DCR 3, and this is a DCR. So I'm not sure what the difference between the two is. It's a double cruiser raider, but we're going to find out relatively soon just how much of a pounding they can take. Forward shield reinforcement is at 8.5. That's fine with me. Yeah, we're able to take his phaser shots and just ignore them. He does have fusion cannons, although I anticipate he's already fired them or used them in a non-optimal manner, because the AI does not know how to use fusion cannons. Yes, they are currently on the recharge. So close to close enough range, and fire. 143 damage, not significantly greater than what I was normally going to expect from that sort of fire. The fact that he is still, well, going at a speed of 3 is very surprising to me. However, wow, actually no, he's still pretty good. He smashed our forward port shield pretty badly. Although we're in a pretty good position to just sort of sit here and phaser him before the other DCR shows up. As long as the other DCR is not packing plasma torpedoes, we should be fine. Are you packing plasma torpedoes? I'd like to know. Show me a distance of 10. You jerk. You absolute ever-loving jerk. Fire all phasers. Drop all speed. And, what's the distance here? Oh, this is not going to be as bad as I was feared. I've got, like, no power in the forward shield. But it doesn't matter, because they faded. So he fired those well early. Our nice little break maneuver allowed us to completely ignore them in their entirety. We don't even need the Wild Weasel shuttle anymore. Slow down to a speed of 4, because that's the speed at which we cruise and charge. We also have 2 points of additional power in the electronic countermeasure system, which should help out a bit, but I'd like to turn to get the forward shield away. Actually, never mind, we're reinforcing it now. So we can close, and we're about to have another Alpha Strike ready to go on this guy. So let's get nice and close and in position, because we're going to give him a nice big ol' hug. Oh, unfortunately, he is reinforcing the forward shield pretty significantly. We're going to have to beat our way through it. And we did. Because we do not care at all. However, I'm a little bit worried. Oh, wait, no, never mind. He still has that D-type plasma torpedo. Marines, yes, I have a job for you. Kill that. I shall provide the opening that you require. So we're going to... Our decoy shuttle is ready. Should the worst happen, we will have some sort of defense. An emergency defense, but a defense nonetheless. The Dear Celebrim is the name of this vessel. And if I can get this turn fast enough, and I think I'm beating him in the turn. And he's about to have a whole ton of phaser firepower. However, I do have a corner shield towards him, which means he must respect the corner. And our fusion cannons are starting to charge now. So we're going to come in for probably one last run. We'll knock out his D-type plasma torpedo. Pause this. Because I want to make sure that he is having a bad day first. Okay, bad days have been had. Oh, we already killed it. Lovely. We don't even have to bother. Do I have any other? I have a single Gatling phaser, which is going to waste itself on a shield, but that's fine. See, now I don't want to waste the fight. I was about to launch my fighters in order to just wipe this guy out, but now he's so weak I don't need to bother. Oh, it was a fake. Good. I was very worried that he had suddenly given me a fairly well shot that would have done some grievous damage to the front of the ship. But once again, we managed to avoid any shield penetrations. So we were able to continue on our aggressive assault through enemy territory. 342 prestige is our total reward, and the tile is neutral. But taking that tile is going to have to wait for another time. I've been Tirak. If you like what you've been seeing, hit that like button and subscribe. If you want to receive a notification every time I post one of these videos, press that little bell icon, leave a comment, and I will see you all in the next episode.